Start packing. You can stay with a friend, my mother-in-law drawled, swirling tea in my favorite mug. You're independent, aren't you? I looked at tea, my husband, he didn't even flinch. Fine. Whatever, I smiled. 4 days later, he called me in a panic. You can't do this. I came home Thursday evening like I always did, shoulders sore from my worked out, my head still full of spreadsheets, tax codes, and the terrible cafeteria coffee I hadn't finished. Our front porch light was already on, which was strange because Simon never remembered to turn it on until I'd nagged him about it for a week. Something in my gut tightened. As I opened the front door, I didn't hear the usual clatter of the dog's paws on the hardwood. Instead, I heard voices, muffled, low-pitched, and the sound of teacups being sat gently on coasters. In the living room sat Giselle, my mother-in-law, looking entirely too comfortable on our couch. She was wearing her usual cardigan like it was armor, legs tucked neatly to the side, cradling one of my favorite mugs like it belonged to her. Next to her stood Simon, arms crossed, eyes evasive. Ruby, Giselle said, turning her head slowly. Simon said the house is mine now. He's taken care of everything. She smiled as if she were handing me a cupcake, and not essentially an eviction notice. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? Simon finally spoke. We made a decision. You wouldn't let Mom move in, you fought it for years, so I made it happen. You made what happen exactly? Giselle sipped her tea. This house is mine now. That's what Simon told me. He said the paperwork's handled, so there's really no reason for you to be here anymore. I stared at her, then looked at Simon. He wasn't denying it. You can't just tell someone a house is theirs, Simon. That's not how it works. He shrugged. You've always acted like this house was yours alone. Now it's not. Fair's fair. I took a breath, steadying the tremble in my hands. I've paid the mortgage every single month for 17 years, $2,300. Without missing a single payment. You've never touched it. I paid for everything else. He snapped. Utilities, food, lawn care. I kept the household running. I laughed once, dry and sharp. You paid for lawn care once when your mom shamed you about the weeds. And you grocery shopped exactly 3 times last year, and only because I was working overtime during tax season. That's not the point, Simon said. You made Mom feel unwelcome. This house was always supposed to be shared with her after Dad passed. You knew that? No, you decided that. I never agreed. She's family, he said coldly. So am I. Or at least I thought I was. Giselle set her mug down with a gentle clink. Look, Ruby, let's not turn this into a big thing. Just start packing. You can stay with a friend for now. You're independent, right? I stared at her. You're really this confident? She lifted a brow. Simon promised me I'd be taken care of. He said the house is settled. Honestly, you should be grateful we didn't just change the locks. I looked around the living room. The couch I picked out on clearance. The rug my mom helped me move in. The side table I assembled while Simon pretended to be too tired. My throat tightened, but not from grief. From rage. This house has always been mine, I said quietly. Simon rolled his eyes. You think just because you paid the mortgage, it gives you all the power? Yes, I said. That's literally how it works. He stepped toward me. You refused to compromise for years. You acted like everything was yours. Your job, your space, your money. Because I was the only one contributing anything consistently. His voice rose. I gave you my life. I gave you time, Ruby. Energy. Support. You gave me dirty laundry, condescension, and a mother who never liked me. Giselle scoffed. Maybe if you were a bit more warm. Oh, you mean obedient. Simon turned away, rubbing his temples. You're making this ugly. I straightened my shoulders. No, I'm making it clear. You think I'm going to roll over just because you say so? You can't stop it, Giselle said. Rising from the couch. It's already in motion. Then let it roll, I said. But I won't be here to cushion the crash. I walked upstairs, each step echoing like a countdown. In the bedroom, I pulled out my old travel suitcase. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I folded a few days' worth of clothes, packed my toiletries, charger, laptop, and left everything else, jewelry, decor, my favorite blanket, all of it stayed. Let them live with the weight of it. When I came back downstairs, Simon was near the door. Giselle was already moving things around the living room, adjusting the throw pillows like this was already her domain. "You're really going?" Simon asked, voice softening. I looked him in the eye. "You sure you want me to?" His jaw flexed. "You're the one leaving." "No," I said. "You kicked me out." He looked away. "This will be better in the long run." "For who?" He didn't answer. "I have one question," I said. "Did you ever read the mortgage agreement?" Simon looked confused. "What does that have to do with anything?" I smiled. Tight. Cool. Knowing. Exactly. Giselle called after me as I walked out the door. "Don't take anything that doesn't belong to you." I paused just long enough to reply. "Don't worry. I'm only taking what's mine." She didn't realize how literal I was being. That night, I checked into a modest hotel downtown. Nothing fancy. Queen bed. Cheap curtains. Water-stained ceiling. But it was clean and quiet. I ordered takeout and sat on the bed in silence. Then I pulled out the folder I'd kept at the back of my work tote for over a year. Inside, mortgage statements, closing documents, tax records, all bearing one name. I'd seen this coming long ago. Simon's resentment, Giselle's creeping presence, the little remarks that turned into expectations. The moment Simon refused to sign the mortgage years ago, too afraid of commitment, I made a decision. I'd shoulder the debt. But I'd also own everything it built. I took out my phone, found Brad's number, and hit record. "Hey Brad, it's Ruby. I need your help. It's about the house. I've been patient long enough." Then I sent it and turned off the lamp. For the first time in 17 years, I slept without checking the balance in my account, or wondering what new demand Simon would make tomorrow. I slept like someone who had all the leverage and none of the guilt. The next morning, I woke up in the hotel before my alarm. No headaches, no chest tension, no Simon. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to brace for the day. I sat in bed for a few minutes, staring at the ceiling, and allowed myself to breathe. Then I got up, got dressed, and took my folder of documents down to the little hotel cafe. Black coffee, quiet corner, and a plan. At 8:02 a.m., Brad texted me back. "Let's talk this morning. Come by the office." Brad Kincaid and I went to high school together. He used to cheat off me in AP history and called me Ruthless Ruby when I was the only one who corrected a teacher's tax math on a quiz. Now, he ran one of the largest real estate brokerages in the county. I walked into his office building 20 minutes later with my folder tucked under my arm. The receptionist recognized me and waved me right in. Brad stood when I entered. Same messy brown hair, same slightly crooked smile, but now in a tailored jacket and with real weight behind his handshake. "Ruby Hastings," he grinned. "Been a long time." "Too long," I said, sliding into the seat across from him. He glanced down at the folder in my lap. "Let me guess. How's drama?" I opened it and spread out a few documents. The title, the original mortgage agreement. A schedule of payments from my bank account with my name on every single one. "My soon-to-be ex-husband is telling people he transferred the house to his mother," I said calmly. Brad didn't even blink. "Is she an owner?" "No, never was. Simon refused to co-sign the mortgage when we bought it, said debt gave him panic attacks. Classic. But he told Giselle the house is hers now. He and his mom tried to kick me out." Brad tilted his head. "And you just walked away?" "I wanted to give them room to hang themselves with the rope they think they pulled from under me." He nodded, clearly impressed. "So, what's the plan?" "I want to sell the house quickly, legally, and I want to make sure they get served properly." Brad grinned. "You want the sale to be the message." "Exactly." He opened a drawer and pulled out a folder of listing forms. "Let's make it loud and clear." Back at the hotel, I extended my stay another week. I didn't need long. Everything was in place. All I had to do was wait. That Sunday, while I was eating breakfast on the hotel balcony, I got a call from a blocked number. I didn't answer. A minute later, my phone vibrated with a voicemail. Simon's voice, frantic. "Ruby, what the hell is going on? There's a real estate agent at the door saying the house is under contract? He says it's already listed? You can't do that. We live here. I didn't bother replying. That same evening, he called again and again. Then Giselle texted in all caps, "You can't sell this house. We have rights." Oh, the irony. I forwarded everything to my attorney. By Tuesday, Brad's agent had dropped off formal notices at the house. Simon tried to threaten legal action. My lawyer responded with a scanned PDF of the deed, clearly showing my name only, along with 17 years' worth of bank statements and a polite request: vacate the premises, or we will file for formal eviction as part of the pending divorce. That shut Simon up for a full 24 hours. Then, predictably, he called again. This time, I answered. "Ruby, please," he said, his voice lower. "You don't have to do this." "I already did," I replied. "I just haven't told you everything yet." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'll see you Sunday, 10 a.m. I'm coming to the house." He hesitated. "Why?" "To return what's yours." "And what's that?" "Your consequences." Sunday morning was cloudy, still, and heavy. I arrived at 959 with 2 copies of everything. The sale contract, the title deed, the printouts of payment schedules, and the receipts for home maintenance Giselle had always claimed she paid for. But I actually had. The door opened before I even knocked. Simon stood in the hallway in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Behind him, Giselle sat in the armchair by the fireplace, with her arms folded tightly, a mug of coffee trembling in her lap. "What is this?" she barked as I stepped inside. "I told you," I said calmly. "I'm here to clear things up." I placed the stack of documents on the dining table and pulled out a highlighted copy of the title. "Let's start with this. This says, 'I am the sole owner of the house.'" Simon looked down at the document, pale. "But I thought, you thought wrong," I cut in. "You refused to co-sign the mortgage 17 years ago because you didn't want to be tied down, so I took it all on myself, and every payment, $2,300 a month, came from my account. That doesn't give you the right to sell it." "It gives me exactly that right," I replied. Giselle stood now, her voice rising. "You ungrateful? After all we've done for you? You mean all I've done for you?" I turned to her. "I paid for the new furnace when it broke in 2016. I paid for your late husband's funeral. I paid for Simon's car when his credit was shot. I paid the property taxes, the landscaping, the roofing, the plumbing, the fire alarm upgrade, and, oh right, everything else you took for granted." Simon slumped into a chair. "You're bluffing. You had a desk job. No way you could afford all that." "That desk job got me promoted," I said, my voice hardening. "You think I've just been a receptionist for 17 years? I'm a licensed CPA. I've run financial audits for firms that would chew you up and spit you out for fun. I make more than both of you combined." I could see them both deflate. Giselle with disbelief, Simon with shame. I reached into my bag again and laid one last envelope on the table. "What's that?" Giselle snapped. I opened it and slid out a printed photo. Simon, arm around a woman half my age. Another image. Them kissing behind a parked car. Another, leaving a hotel. Simon's jaw dropped. "You hired someone." "I planned ahead," I said. "The day you started asking me to hand over financial control of our accounts, I knew something was wrong." "I can explain." He started. "No need," I said. "My lawyer has all of this. Divorce papers will be delivered by the end of the week. And yes, I will be pursuing alimony. You gave me 17 years of emotional labor. Now I'll be billing you for it." Giselle tried to speak, but I cut her off too. "And just so we're clear, after the house sells, I'll be deducting every unpaid expense you two left me with before splitting the rest as required. Which, spoiler alert, won't be much. You should probably start looking for an apartment." "You heartless," she started. But Simon just buried his face in his hands. I stood and looked around the room one last time. "You kicked me out of my own house," I said softly. "Now I'm returning the favor." I walked out before they could say another word. That night, back in my hotel room, I called Brad. "It's done," I said. "How'd they take it?" "Like amateurs." I could hear him smile through the phone. "We'll close fast. You'll have cash in hand within a month." "Perfect." And for the first time since I signed that mortgage nearly 2 decades ago, I felt like this house and this life were finally mine to leave. 2 weeks after the showdown at the house, the sale officially closed. Brad called to confirm the wire transfer while I sat at a sunny cafe with my laptop open. The amount was more than I expected, even after taxes, even after legal fees. I closed the laptop, sipped my coffee, and allowed myself a rare, unfiltered smile. The house was gone, sold, legally, cleanly, and every cent had gone through me. I hadn't returned since that last confrontation. I didn't need to. My lawyer coordinated the closing and the handoff of the keys. A moving company retrieved the remaining items I wanted. Everything else I left behind on purpose. A silent offering to Simon and Giselle. A reminder. The day after the sale, Simon texted me, "You didn't have to humiliate us like this?" I didn't respond. What was there to say? He humiliated himself the moment he conspired with his mother to force me out of a house I built, financially, emotionally, brick by brick. I'd paid for the foundation, the fixtures, the roof repairs. He'd paid for frozen pizzas and resentment. I found out through a mutual acquaintance that they moved into a run-down rental on the edge of town. A third-floor walk-up with a broken intercom. Giselle had to sell most of her antique furniture to cover the deposit. Simon's car was repossessed a week after the sale closed. He'd also started applying to jobs again. Apparently no one wanted to hire a mid-40s man with a string of short-term roles, a spotty credit history, and a reputation for blaming everyone else. And as for the affair, he tried to make it work with the girl from the photos. But she ghosted him after learning he no longer had a house, a car, or a bank account that wasn't being garnished for alimony. Meanwhile, I didn't buy a new house. Not yet. I found a furnished condo near the marina. Smaller than the old place, but quiet, full of light, and entirely my own. No one told me how to arrange the furniture. No one criticized how I made pasta or folded the laundry. I watered the plants when I felt like it. I worked late and ordered sushi when I didn't feel like cooking, and no one asked why. For a while, I did nothing. No big life changes. No dramatic career moves. I just breathed. I went to work, I came home, and I slept through the night. It was strange at first, having nothing to manage, nothing to defend. But gradually, the quiet stopped feeling eerie. It felt earned. One Saturday, I ran into Brad again at a networking event. He was standing near the bar, chatting with a few clients, when he spotted me and waved me over. "Ruby," he grinned. "Hey, I want you to meet someone." I almost declined. I wasn't looking to date. Hell, I still wasn't done emotionally unknotting 17 years of strategic silence. But something in his face made me pause. The man he introduced me to was tall, a little sun-weathered, wearing a shirt that wasn't designer but fit like it had been tailored. His name was James. He was a project manager for a renewable energy startup just returned from 3 years in Copenhagen. We talked. Nothing heavy. Travel. Bad airline coffee. Favorite dive restaurants. When he found out I worked in finance, he didn't joke about taxes or ask me to look at his QuickBooks. He asked what I liked most about it. "No one expects me to smile while I'm doing it," I said. He laughed and said, "That's how I feel about budgeting." And just like that, it didn't feel like a setup anymore. Later that night, I got another message from Simon. This one wasn't angry. "I'm sorry. I messed up. I should have listened. I should have appreciated you. I didn't realize how much you carried." This time, I did respond. Just one line. "You didn't realize because you never tried." I deleted the thread after that. Not out of spite, out of peace. Weeks passed. My old life faded into something distant and grainy like an out-of-focus photograph. Every now and then, I'd remember a specific moment. Giselle criticizing how I arranged towels. Simon making passive digs about my job title. And I'd smile. Not from bitterness, but from the clarity of it all. There was never going to be a point where they stopped taking. Not until I took myself out of reach. Now, I was unreachable. One evening, I met James again at a local bookstore. We walked out with iced coffees and sat on a bench overlooking the water. Boats drifted in the distance. Couples passed by with dogs and paper bags from local shops. He turned to me and asked, "What's the one thing you wish more people knew about you?" It was such an honest question I had to stop and think. That I don't forgive easily, I said. But when I do, I never forget what happened. I just stop needing to carry it. He nodded. Is that the same thing as closure? No, I said. It's better. That night, I went home and opened the drawer where I kept the last folder. Documents, photos, notes I'd once planned to use in court, but never needed. I flipped through them one more time, then fed them into my paper shredder sheet by sheet. Not because I wanted to forget, but because I no longer needed proof. I knew what I'd survived, and more importantly, I knew who I'd become.